You remember when every small-town gas stop echoed with the sound of Milwaukee steel. But 2026 isn't like the old days. Harley inventories are stacking up in dealerships across the country, while Japan's new models are selling out before the trucks even roll. Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, and Kawasaki just dropped machines that undercut Harley on price, power, and reliability. Dealers are whispering, and even Harley's CEO is feeling the heat. Tonight, we'll break down exactly how Japan's 2026 lineup could flip the market and what it means for every rider who still believes in American chrome. Stick around by the end. You'll see why some say this could decide the next decade of US motorcycling. Number 7. Honda Shadow Aero. The cruiser world still remembers when the Aero first rolled onto American soil and made riders question whether loyalty should come before logic. Built by a company known more for reliability than rebellion, this machine quietly earned respect in garages filled with chrome and pride. It looked the part, sounded right, and rode smoother than anyone expected from an import. The years passed, but its purpose never changed. Offer that long-haul comfort and traditional feel without the price tag that keeps so many new bikes sitting on showroom floors. Riders who once swore by Milwaukee steel often take a second look at the Aero. It carries the stance of a classic V-twin, but there is a certain restraint to its design, a simplicity that values comfort over vanity. Twist the throttle, and it delivers a steady, predictable pull, the kind of power that makes the road feel long again, not hurried. On the highway, it hums rather than growls, yet that hum has its own authority. The comfort of the seat, the easy clutch, and the low center of gravity make it a cruiser that does not punish the years on your back. For those who have spent decades riding heavier touring bikes, the Aero feels like stepping into an old pair of boots that still fit perfectly. The chrome still glints under a gas station canopy, and the engine still speaks the language of the open road, only softer and with less strain. Where many modern cruisers chase technology, the Aero keeps its purpose clean, just a reliable partner for the next ride out, to nowhere in particular. There is also something deeper at play. In a market where brand loyalty has often been worn like a patch on a vest, this bike reminds riders that pride can be found in precision as much as in tradition. It proves that quality does not need to shout. Every curve of its tank and every line of its fenders carries a quiet confidence that only time can refine. When you pull away from a light and feel that low-end torque settle into a rhythm, it becomes clear that this is a cruiser built for those who still ride for the sake of the ride itself. Engine size is 745 cubic centimeters, a liquid-cooled 52-degree V-twin four-stroke with a bore and stroke of 79 by 76 millimeters. Compression ratio is 9.6 to 1. It uses a wide ratio 5-speed transmission paired with a shaft final drive. Braking is handled by a single front disc and a rear drum, supported by an anti-lock braking system. Suspension features a telescopic front fork and dual rear shocks. Wet weight is approximately 570 pounds. Seat height stands at 25.9 inches. And the starting price averages around $8,249, depending on trim. The next bike on this list shows what happens when Japanese engineering trades subtlety for muscle taking the fight to the boulevard with power that demands attention. If you're the kind of rider who values truth over marketing, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Join the riders who see through the noise and speak from real experience. Your voice deserves to be part of this conversation. Number 6. Yamaha XSR900GP. Some motorcycles are born from nostalgia, and others are engineered to perfect it. The XSR900GP carries the spirit of the late 70s and early 80s race machines, the era when raw metal met fearless riders. It does not just nod to the past, it brings it roaring back with a modern heartbeat. This is the kind of bike that turns heads at gas stations, not because it is loud, but because it carries history in its lines. Under the fairing, however, it is anything but old. It is Yamaha's reminder that heritage can still outrun time. From the first twist of the throttle, the XSR feels like a time machine built for riders who never stopped loving the sound of an inline engine stretching toward redline. The throttle response is sharp, direct, and honest, just like the machines that inspired it. The design echoes Yamaha's racing past, with its half-fairing, bold color stripes and squared tail section. It feels like something that escaped the racetrack, only long enough to remind today's riders what a real connection between throttle and tire used to feel like. It is not just about power. This machine brings back the sense of involvement many modern bikes have traded for screens and riding modes. The clutch engages with purpose. The gearbox feels mechanical rather than electronic, and every shift rewards the rider with a pulse that feels alive. The seating position, slightly forward but never punishing, keeps you part of the machine instead of perched above it. For riders who grew up when muscle and precision meant more than marketing, this bike hits every note of memory while still performing like a 2026 machine. On long stretches of road, the XSR keeps a rhythm that feels balanced, steady power delivery, predictable handling, and a suspension setup that soaks up rough pavement without numbing the senses. It is an experience of balance rather than brute strength, and that is exactly why it stands out. It respects what came before, but refuses to stay trapped there. Riders who spent decades with air-cooled twins and heavy cruisers will find something freeing in the XSR's simplicity. It reminds them that speed and soul are not enemies. They just need the right frame to live together again. It is proof that Japanese craftsmanship can carry heritage without copying anyone else's legacy. Power comes from an 890 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled inline 3-cylinder 4-stroke engine with a bore and stroke of 78 by 62.1 millimeters. And a compression ratio of 11.5 to 1. Maximum output is roughly 117 horsepower, with torque near 68 pound-feet. The braking system includes dual front discs and a single rear disc, supported by anti-lock braking control. Suspension uses a fully adjustable KYB front fork and a linked rear shock. Wet weight is about 425 pounds, seat height is roughly 32.9 inches, and the starting price is close to $12,400. The next bike on this list proves that modern technology and touring comfort can merge without losing the soul that makes riders chase the horizon. All my dependable gear and accessories, the same I ride and test with, are listed below in the description. Number 5. Suzuki GSX 8T. Every once in a while, a motorcycle arrives that bridges two worlds, the raw freedom of the open road and the modern practicality riders secretly appreciate. The GSX 8T steps directly into that space. It is not a reimagined relic or a budget commuter. It is a serious middleweight tourer designed to do one thing perfectly, make you want to ride farther. Its styling borrows from Suzuki's adventure touring DNA. But its heart still beats with that signature twin rhythm that old-school riders can respect. Beneath the sleek bodywork and fairing lies a machine tuned for balance, torque, and reliability. Three things that have always mattered to those who measure time by miles, not minutes. From the first clutch release, the GSX feels smooth, confident, and composed. Power arrives cleanly, never abrupt, giving riders full control without electronic interference. It passes traffic effortlessly, yet hums quietly at cruising speed. Its modern twin engine feels alive but predictable, carrying a mechanical honesty long lost in over-engineered machines. That refined balance of strength and calm is winning over riders who once swore by nothing but V-twin torque. The riding position feels natural, neither hunched nor upright, letting you stretch a day's ride into an all-weekend run without fighting the wind. The fairing provides protection without losing the open-air feel. The seat is wide enough to keep you grounded and firm enough to stay comfortable over long hauls. Every piece of the GSX feels engineered for distance, from its low vibration output to the well-tuned suspension that keeps rough pavement from shaking you out of rhythm. For riders who've spent years behind larger cruisers, there is something refreshing about this kind of simplicity. No unnecessary electronics cluttering the ride. No fragile luxury features, just solid, well-built touring strength that feels honest. It does not try to imitate a Harley or mimic a Goldwing. It stands proudly as its own concept: reliable, affordable freedom on two wheels. The GSX 8T may not rumble like American steel, but it proves that craftsmanship and consistency can build pride just as effectively as chrome. Its biggest statement is not in the numbers, it is in how it makes you feel when you roll on the throttle and realize you could ride this machine for years without complaint. Engine size is 776 cubic centimeters, a liquid-cooled parallel twin four-stroke with a bore and stroke of 84 by 70 millimeters and a compression ratio of 12.8 to 1. Power output is around 81 horsepower with torque rated near 57 pound-feet. Braking duties are handled by dual front discs and a single rear disc, fully supported by an anti-lock braking system. Suspension is an inverted front fork with adjustable damping matched to a rear monoshock featuring preload adjustment. Wet weight sits around 470 pounds. Seat height is approximately 32.5 inches. And the starting price is about $10,649. The next motorcycle on this list takes that same balance and adds something more, an echo of muscle and memory that reminds riders why sound and soul still matter. Number 4. Kawasaki 900. There is a certain kind of honesty in a motorcycle that does not pretend to be anything it is not. The Z900 carries that attitude like a badge of honor. It is the kind of machine built for riders who appreciate strength without ceremony, pure mechanical balance shaped by decades of refinement. For years, Kawasaki has balanced heritage and modern muscle better than almost anyone, and this machine is their cleanest expression of that philosophy. It is not dressed for comfort or disguised by touring features. It is raw, controlled aggression refined into something practical. And that makes it a serious contender in any market, including the one long ruled by American torque. The Z900 isn't about noise, it's about precision. Every gear change feels deliberate, every pulse controlled. Built for real roads and effortless balance, it turns heavy cruiser veterans into believers the moment they ride lighter, sharper, and more connected than expected. There is no complicated interface. No layers of adjustment that get in the way of the experience. What you feel through the bars and pegs is what the engine is doing in real time. That purity is something riders from every generation can respect. For older riders who grew up with carbureted machines and mechanical throttle cables, the Z900 keeps that spirit alive while offering the reliability and refinement of modern fuel injection. Its frame geometry keeps it steady at highway speeds, but playful in corners. You can lean into the wind, feel the front tire hold its line, and sense every ounce of that torque responding instantly. The power curve is steady, not spiked, which means it rewards skill over recklessness. This is a motorcycle that encourages confidence, not bravado. A characteristic any seasoned rider will recognize as rare in today's world of overpowered sport machines. The Z900 reminds riders that speed alone does not define freedom control does. That is the same principle that once built the American V-twin legacy, a machine that responds honestly to its rider's hand. Kawasaki just delivers that formula with its own brand of discipline. The engine displaces 948 cubic centimeters, an inline four-cylinder liquid-cooled unit with double overhead camshafts and 16 valves. It delivers roughly 125 horsepower at 9,500 revolutions per minute, and torque of about 73 pound-feet at 7,700 revolutions per minute. Braking comes from dual front discs and a single rear disc, both backed by an anti-lock system. Suspension uses a 41mm inverted front fork, with adjustable rebound and preload, paired with a horizontal backlink rear shock. Wet weight is approximately 470 pounds. Seat height measures 31½ inches, and the starting price averages around $9,999. The next bike on this list carries that same discipline into a different world, the kind built for open highways, long days, and the timeless sound of a machine made for distance. Number 3. Suzuki Hayabusa. There are motorcycles that earn respect, and then there are those that redefine it. The Hayabusa has spent over 2 decades proving that raw speed can coexist with comfort, stability, and reliability. For riders who grew up during the golden age of big displacement muscle, this machine represents more than performance. It represents dominance. It has been the yardstick by which all sport touring power is measured. Even today, in an era of electronics and emission restrictions, it remains a symbol of what happens when engineering refuses to compromise with fear. From the first roll of the throttle, the Hayabusa feels like something sacred to riders who value purpose-built performance. The acceleration is smooth but relentless, the torque is instant, and the aerodynamic bodywork slices through air with the grace of a blade. What makes this machine special is not just its power, it is how effortlessly that power can be used. The engine hums instead of roars, the throttle moves like an extension of your will, and the gearbox feels like it was carved from precision itself. For long-distance riders, the Hayabusa delivers unmatched stability and comfort. It crosses states effortlessly with a supportive seat, solid wind protection, and suspension tuned for real roads. Even lifelong V-twin riders admit it feels like a superbike built to tour all day. Its history carries weight. When it first appeared in the late 90s, it broke every rule about what a street bike should be. It was faster than anything else on the road and immediately gained legendary status. That same DNA still runs through the 2026 version. Suzuki refined it without softening its character, keeping its balance between civility and chaos intact. For many riders, it is not just a motorcycle, it is a milestone. The Hayabusa proves that craftsmanship and consistency can outlast every marketing cycle. It has seen entire generations of rivals rise and fall, yet it keeps evolving, one careful improvement at a time. It is not nostalgia that keeps it alive, it is integrity. Even now, when the world seems more cautious, this machine stands as proof that courage still has a throttle. Powering the Hayabusa is a 1,340 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled inline 4-cylinder engine with a bore and stroke of 81 by 65 millimeters and a compression ratio of 12.5 to 1. Maximum horsepower is approximately 190, and torque reaches about 111 pound-feet. Braking is provided by dual Brembo Stylema front calipers and a single rear disc, coordinated through a full anti-lock braking system. Suspension features a fully adjustable 43mm inverted front fork and a link-type rear shock absorber. Wet weight is close to 582 pounds, seat height sits at 31½ inches, and starting price is roughly $18,699. The next motorcycle on this list carries that same spirit of endurance, blending power and technology into a package built for riders who measure freedom in miles, not in years. Before we hit the final stretch, subscribe to stay ahead of the curve. The industry is changing fast, and riders who stay informed won't get blindsided when the next wave hits. Knowledge isn't just power, it's protection on the road. Number 2. Kawasaki Ninja H2SXSE. Some machines are built to perform, others are built to remind the world who still knows how. The Ninja H2SXSE does both with precision and power that borders on intimidation. It is not just another sport touring motorcycle. It is a statement of engineering dominance from a company that has spent decades refining speed into something civilized enough for the highway, but wild enough to humble anything in its path. Every line of this bike tells a story of control, balance, and raw mechanical pride. Riders who understand the art of torque know that this machine was not built to compete. It was built to lead. The first impression of the Ninja H2 SX SE is that of sheer mechanical authority. You do not start it, you ignite it. The supercharged engine delivers a rush so immediate it feels alive, but it is not chaos. It is controlled force, every ounce of power filtered through precision electronics that never overwhelm the rider. Where most bikes ask you to choose between touring comfort and sport performance, this one refuses to compromise. It will carve a canyon road with the sharpness of a race bike, then carry you across states in a single day without fatigue. The seating position is relaxed for a machine of its class. Wind protection is excellent, and every touchpoint feels crafted for long hours in the saddle. Yet, beneath that comfort lies a power curve that can pull harder than almost any street-legal motorcycle in history. The supercharger does not just boost speed, it builds character. It gives the bike a heartbeat that feels closer to aviation than ground travel. For riders who grew up measuring power by displacement alone, this machine is a reminder that technology can enhance tradition instead of erasing it. Even the smallest details carry weight. The headlights cut through fog like searchlights. The dash feels like an aircraft cockpit. Every press of the throttle delivers torque with mathematical precision. It is not about aggression, it is about mastery. The Ninja H2 SX SE redefines what it means to ride a performance bike built for endurance. It bridges generations of riders who still crave something that challenges their reflexes and rewards their discipline. For those who once believed that Japanese motorcycles lost their edge, this machine answers with facts, not promises. It is proof that innovation still carries a pulse, and that the open road still has room for brilliance wrapped in steel. Engine size is 998 cubic centimeters, an inline, 4-cylinder, liquid-cooled, supercharged power plant with a bore and stroke of 76 by 55 millimeters, and a compression ratio near 11.2 to 1. It produces roughly 200 horsepower and torque of about 101 pound-feet. The braking system uses dual front Brembo Stylema discs and a single rear disc, all managed by cornering anti-lock braking control. Suspension employs an electronic skyhook-style setup with a fully adjustable Showa front fork and a rear shock featuring automatic load compensation. Wet weight is around 590 pounds, seat height is 32.9 inches, and the starting price sits near $28,000. The next motorcycle on this list carries that same sense of command, but channels it into a different mission, a long-distance masterpiece designed for riders who measure their freedom by the horizon, not the clock. Number 1. Honda NT 1100. Every generation of riders has that one motorcycle that quietly earns their trust. The NT 1100 is that machine for the modern touring era. It is not built to dazzle with flash or to dominate a racetrack. It is built to carry a rider farther than they planned, with less effort than they expected. Where most bikes fight between performance and comfort, this one finds harmony. The NT 1100 is Honda's way of proving that endurance and refinement can still define freedom in a world obsessed with quick thrills. The NT 1100 does not demand attention, it earns it mile after mile. The twin-cylinder engine delivers power that feels immediate but never frantic. Each shift through the transmission lands cleanly, and the exhaust note hums with purpose instead of aggression. On long rides, that restraint becomes its greatest strength. It is the kind of power that never wears you down, even after 8 straight hours on the highway. For older riders who value endurance over ego, that balance matters more than any spec sheet could suggest. What sets this machine apart is the way it treats comfort as part of performance. The seat feels sculpted for distance, not just display. The wind protection is generous without drowning you in plastic. The ergonomics fit the natural posture of a seasoned rider, upright, confident, and ready to take the next state line without thinking about it. This is a touring bike designed by engineers who clearly understand fatigue, weather, and the unspoken rhythm of cross-country travel. Every system on the NT 1100 feels engineered with intent. The braking power is strong yet progressive. The suspension soaks up uneven pavement without dulling feel, and the engine tuning keeps vibration low even at highway speeds. Technology exists here, but it is not invasive. It assists, not intrudes. This is the kind of motorcycle that proves modern innovation can enhance the essence of riding instead of complicating it. The NT 1100 carries the quiet dignity of a long-distance companion. It is not for those who chase short rides or fast trends. It is for those who still measure journeys by the hours between gas stops and sunsets. Riders who grew up trusting machines that worked as hard as they did will find something familiar here: reliability, honesty, and a kind of mechanical humility that is increasingly rare. The engine displaces 1,084 cubic centimeters, a liquid-cooled parallel twin four-stroke with a bore and stroke of 92 by 81.5 millimeters, and a compression ratio of 10.1 to 1. Output is about 102 horsepower, with torque near 77 pound-feet. Braking is delivered by dual front discs, and a single rear disc assisted by cornering anti-lock braking. Suspension includes a 43mm Showa inverted front fork, paired with a rear monoshock featuring adjustable preload. Wet weight is approximately 524 pounds. Seat height stands at 32.3 inches, and the starting price averages around $12,999. The countdown ends with a truth few can deny. Freedom on two wheels has never been about noise or ego. It has always been about endurance, pride, and connection. The NT 1100 captures all three, proving that even in a changing world, the open road still belongs to those who respect the ride. So tell me in the comments, which bike earns your respect and which ones all talk? Smash that like if you've ever wrenched till midnight keeping your ride alive, and subscribe for more straight-shooting stories from the road. No corporate spin, just the truth, the torque, and the brotherhood that keeps us all riding.